My name is Lisa. Sitting across from me is Mr. Harris, a shrewd businessman in the pharmaceutical industry. My parents, seated on either side, look a bit uneasy. The meeting room is filled with an almost tangible tension. Mr. Harris stands up, straightens his suit, and then looks me directly in the eye. Actually, he says. Just that one word makes the room go completely silent. 2 years ago, I graduated from Stanford University with a degree in biotech. Right away, I joined BioVista, the biotech firm my parents owned. My father, Mr. Owen, is a rather domineering man. He's built BioVista from the ground up over the past 15 years, strictly adhering to his own ideas and making decisions without much consideration for others. My mother, Miss Lucy, is more calculating. She manages the company's finances and always seems to be thinking several steps ahead. I've always been passionate about science, especially finding a way to detect early-stage pancreatic cancer. Pancreatic cancer is like a stealthy killer. Most patients are only diagnosed at a late stage. For 4 long years, I've been working on an algorithm. It was grueling. I skipped countless dinners with my family, ignored my friends' invitations, and sacrificed 2 relationships. When the algorithm finally worked, with an accuracy rate of 94.7% in detecting early-stage pancreatic cancer markers in blood protein sequences, I was overjoyed. I printed out the data and placed it on my father's desk. He glanced at it and simply said, "Good work. This will boost the company's value." I thought we were on the verge of a great new chapter. But 8 months later, I found out something I never expected. Walking past a half-open conference room door, I heard my father discussing terms with Mr. Harris. The deal was already well underway, and they were talking about a $2 billion acquisition. A sense of shock and betrayal washed over me. That evening, I confronted my parents at the dining table. My father sat at the head, his face stern. "We've accepted Mr. Harris's offer. The company is being sold in full. You're no longer needed here," he said coldly. My mother just sat there, looking at me with a half-apologetic but calculating look. "It's our company to sell, Lisa," she remarked, as if that explained everything. I was in a state of disbelief. "But the algorithm was my work," I exclaimed. My mother shrugged. "It's part of the company's assets now." Now, back in the meeting room, Mr. Harris continues. Before finalizing the transfer of the diagnostic algorithm, specifically the blood protein sequencing system under the BioVista umbrella, I need to clarify something my legal team flagged 48 hours ago. He slides a document across the table to my father. The core algorithm, which accounts for about 70% of BioVista's current valuation, was not filed under the company's intellectual property. It was filed independently under my name. 2 years ago, a professor at Stanford, who had seen many researchers lose their rights to their inventions, advised me to document my work properly. So, I secretly went to a private intellectual property attorney, someone unconnected to BioVista's legal team, and filed a separate patent for the core sequencing methodology in my name. I did it quietly, thinking it was just basic professional sense, never imagining it would be so crucial. My father picks up the document and his face changes. For the first time, I see a look of uncertainty in his eyes. My mother stops pretending to be calm and looks at her hands nervously. Mr. Harris looks at me and says, "Your parents sold me the company infrastructure, the brand, the client contracts, and the secondary patents. But they had no legal right to sell me the algorithm because it was never theirs." I feel a mix of emotions. On one hand, I'm relieved because I've protected my work. On the other hand, I feel grief at the betrayal of my parents. Over the next few days, Mr. Harris's team contacts my attorney. We negotiate a licensing agreement. His company gets the right to commercialize the algorithm, and in return, I receive a substantial licensing fee. Over the first 3 years, it'll be more than all the salaries I've ever received from BioVista. I also get an independent laboratory budget and full credit on all future publications derived from my methodology. My parents and I don't speak for 7 months. Finally, my mother calls. She doesn't give a big apology. Instead, she simply says, "I didn't understand the full consequences at that time." I tell her I understand. Now, we're slowly trying to rebuild our relationship. This experience taught me that it's important to know your worth and protect your creations. Never let anyone, even your own family, take away what you've rightfully earned. If you're working hard on something, understand your ownership rights. Document your work. And don't let others undermine your value, because in the end, you're the one who knows what you truly deserve. Subscribe to this channel if this story resonates with you, as these stories are shared for those who need to hear them at the right moment. Maybe it's you now, just as it was me once. And I'm here, wiser from the experience. In the long run, I've learned that while family is important, principles are unwavering. The code I developed wasn't just a technical achievement, it held the hope of saving countless lives from pancreatic cancer. And I was determined that this noble purpose wouldn't be compromised by greed or misjudgment. Over the following weeks of negotiating the licensing agreement with Mr. Harris's team, I had the opportunity to see the bigger picture of what my algorithm could achieve. We discussed the potential for large-scale clinical trials across multiple countries, and how it could revolutionize the early detection of pancreatic cancer. My independent laboratory budget allowed me to hire a small but dedicated team of researchers. We set out to further refine the algorithm, making it even more accurate and accessible. And with the promise of full credit on future publications, I was motivated to conduct breakthrough research. I also realized the importance of communication within my family. Although my mother's call was a small start, it opened the door for more honest conversations. I explained to my parents why I had taken the step of independently patenting the algorithm. I emphasized that it wasn't about personal gain, but about ensuring the long-term success of the technology and protecting the countless hours of hard work. My father, who was initially hesitant, slowly began to understand. He saw that my actions were not a betrayal but a way of being responsible. Through these conversations, I came to see a different side of my father. Beneath his tough exterior, he had always wanted what was best for the company and the industry. As time passed, my relationship with my parents started to heal. We began having family dinners again, and our conversations were filled with more warmth and understanding. We still faced challenges, but we were learning to overcome them together. Meanwhile, my work at the new laboratory was flourishing. The additional funding allowed us to invest in high-end equipment and collaborate with other leading research institutions. Our research papers were being published in top-tier scientific journals, and the algorithm was starting to gain international recognition. The licensing agreement with Mr. Harris's company also proved to be a win-win situation. Their extensive resources enabled them to quickly commercialize the algorithm, and it began to be used in hospitals and clinics around the world. The early detection of pancreatic cancer was becoming a reality, and I knew that my efforts, along with the support of my new team and the company, were making a real difference. Looking back, I sometimes wonder how different my life would have been if I had not taken that step of protecting my work. Would I have been left behind, watching as my creation was sold without my say? Or would I have found another way to make my mark? But I'm glad that I followed my instincts. I'm proud of the fact that I stood up for what I believed in, even when it was against my own family. And I'm even more proud of the impact that my algorithm is having on the field of oncology. If you're out there working hard on a project, remember this story. Believe in yourself and your abilities. Protect what you've created, not out of greed, but out of a sense of responsibility. And never be afraid to stand up for what's right, even if it means going against the odds. I hope that my story can inspire you to be brave, to be persistent, and to always strive for the best. Because in the end, the journey of creating something meaningful is just as important as the destination. And if you face setbacks along the way, know that every challenge is an opportunity to grow and become stronger. So keep building, keep creating, and never let anyone take away your dreams.